the Sports Betting Network.
Follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Here we go. Welcome in. It is Follow the Money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Mitch Moss, Paulie Howard with you live in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. Action-packed 3-hour program lined up today, including Paul Charchian, his best bets with player props coming up for Championship Sunday in 30 minutes. Steve Wiss, Soccer Bets in an hour. JP Flame previewing the Commanders and the Eagles. I have a prediction about that, by the way. And Brian Sachs coming up in 2.5 hours. He bought one of the entries for Circa Survivor. It's a wild story. We'll tell you about that. But here's my prediction for JP Flame in 2 hours. He's from 106.7, The Fan in D.C., Paulie. My prediction is every time we do this with a local host, they take the local team. So if he does not say he's taking the Commanders plus the 6 in this game, I will buy everybody here on the show lunch at some point next week or whenever.
Okay.
You can mark it down. I put it at about 90% he's going to say take the Commanders plus 6.
I called that yesterday with Sal Pell, and he did the same thing.
Oh, you did?
Okay.
Okay.
Yep. Sounds good. And it's also Washington money line is the most popular bet at most places as well. All right. You sound good. Stay away from me. Great to have you back, buddy.
Stay away from me from the guy last week. Sure.
Yeah.
Do I sound good?
Yeah. Good enough.
Man.
Good enough. I hope you bet Wembanyama props today.
Well,
I mean, wasn't that
did
obvious?
This game catch up on you, by the way?
No, I knew it was today.
Okay.
And they're going to do it again Saturday morning, but you think he put on a show for everyone over in France. And at the end of 3 quarters, he had, 26, 11, 6, and 5? Yeah. Is there up 23 on the Pacers?
I say if he has a chance to get a quadruple double, you got to leave him in till the end of the game.
Yeah, it's in play. Come on. It's in play.
All right, so the AP today announced the finalists for the NFL awards, right? This has been talked about. It happened earlier in the morning, kicked around probably in plenty of places. But we do have updated odds, by the way, because there's an offshore book that reposted their odds not that long ago. And these are very popular. The NFL awards specifically, right? We talk about them throughout the entire year. We make our bets, try to anyway, like throughout the summertime. So if you will remember, Josh Allen, before week 18, he was as high as, well, he was around minus $5. One site had him at minus 485 on January 6th. He took one snap to keep that streak alive of most games started consecutively. Jackson, for Baltimore, had to play in another game to try to win the division, had a good game. He went from minus 375. Check that. He was minus 375 on January 15th. He moved from plus 350 to that number after being named first-team All-Pro quarterback that day. Mm-hmm. That's when the odds were reposted. And like, oh, my God, are you serious? Like, a lot of the same people who vote for first-team players to make the Pro Bowl also have the MVP and awards votes. So it completely flipped. And now I'm looking at this. Lamar Jackson is minus 225 as he is one of the finalists with Josh Allen, Jared Goff, Joe Burrow, and Saquon Barkley.
Right. Seems low based on history. And a little surprising there. But then again, I think he's going to get it done. And this was wild how this came out here with what was announced. And I know a lot of people making the case what decides not only this, but these other awards is maybe third-place votes. Does someone do kind of like the Ichiro thing?
Sure.
Or if there's a big surprise where I have, can you believe it? Lamar fourth. Or this guy said Allen third. Something like that, which could end up deciding a lot of these awards.
Yep, that's exactly right. I would say that I think Jackson minus 225 based on history is short.
Yep.
That should be closer to $5, what Allen was before Week 18. Coach of the Year, did Dan Campbell flip people's opinions by beating Kevin O'Connell and the Vikings in Week 18? Because I'm looking currently posted offshore, KOC is minus $5, Dan Campbell is 4-1.
Reed also a finalist, Dan Quinn and Peyton as well. Mm-hmm. So if you got a good sweat, at least if you had tickets on those, I still think it has to be O'Connell. Based on the season they had, and even we know that Darnold was a problem, and they still won 14 games, and the issues he had in the final 2 games, I still think it seems low, and O'Connell's going to get it. Yeah,
I would agree with that as well. I don't think that one game, although it was to get the 1 seed in, to win 15 games and to win their division over the Vikings, I don't think that's going to flip enough voters' minds. Offensive Player of the Year, the finalists are Barkley, Burrow, Chase, Henry, and Jackson. Barkley was like minus 5,000 last check. He's going to win that award. Mm-hmm. Defensive Player of the Year, your 5 finalists: Patrick Surtain, Myles Garrett, Trey Hendrickson, T.J. Watt, Zach Bond of the Eagles. He's 100-1. Surtain is minus 1,000. Garrett's 10-1. What do you think? Bill Barnwell made a case that Trey Hendrickson should win. He would vote for him.
Yep.
He's 40-1 right now, which drifted out. He was plus 850 around week 18 and led the league in sacks. He closed strong with like 3.5 sacks in the final game of the season.
Can you give it to him on a bad defense, though? I mean, the DC got whacked and let go. I mean, that's I can't imagine.
Well, so that goes back to, I think, the conversation we had last year during the NBA, right? Wembanyama should have won Defensive Player of the Year. He was the best defensive player in the league, but the Spurs defense kind of sucked overall. The team did.
Surrounded by trash, though. Yeah.
Right, exactly right.
But you still saw the intimidation factor, and that guys didn't want to penetrate and get close to him, and guys on 2-on-1 breaks would pull it out. But
and instead, the NBA voters decided to lazily give it to Rudy Gobert on the best defensive team in the league. They thought, oh, he's the best player for sure, so then we're going to give it to him, which I thought was a huge mistake. I would say that if the guy is so good, though, even though the parts around him are not good enough to like help him, limit teams to 13 points a game or whatever, I think a guy should be in the mix and have a chance to win.
Yeah, plus his numbers when he was going against elite wide receivers, too. Well, I think Surtain will get it. It's got to be the guy. Yep.
Offensive Rookie of the Year is going to be Daniels, yeah?
Yes.
But what a group this was this year. Daniels.
Incredible season.
Oh, my God. This has to be one of the best rookie years we've had in a long, long time.
Von Tobel's got to be sick. He's got a future on Bowers.
Huge number on him.
Set records, right?
Yeah.
Can't sniff it.
Neighbors had great numbers.
Yep.
Can't win. Brian Thomas, awesome numbers. Can't win. Bo Nix, same thing. Because Daniels is just so special. Defensive Rookie of the Year.
That's over, too.
That's over, okay.
Right. I took Mitchell late in the season, but it's Verse.
I took Fisk late in the season because his numbers overall are better, but Verse, I think the narrative was too strong there. And then Comeback Player of the Year.
You're a big boy. At least you can exhale because Darnold's a finalist.
He made it.
Yeah.
Do you want to know the current odds? The entire audience does, so Joe Burrow is minus $7.
Oh, wow. Too high.
Darnold plus 550.
You're kidding.
When you have voters who are openly saying, especially here on this network, with Adam Shine and Rich Gannon has hinted at that they're going to give it to Darnold, I think $7 for Burrow might be a tad too high.
That's crazy. That is too high.
But also, Burrow was the finalist in 3 different categories. Comeback Player of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, and the MVP. So he's probably going to win one of them, and it's going to be the one that's going to hurt me the most because I would love to have Darnold win Comeback Player of the Year.
Good timing today, too, because as you're making the case for Offensive Rookie of the Year, what Daniels in Washington has accomplished this year, and I know you heard something interesting about Washington regarding their rival, but just Bill Barnwell did an excellent job today on ESPN.com trying to put this in perspective. Like, is this the best rookie season ever?
It was an excellent story.
Yeah, and where could this rank? Number one, I think he's right. They won 4 games last year, and then you come in with a rookie quarterback, you blow everyone out, you bring in Quinn. This would be probably the third unlikeliest Super Bowl title ever, behind the 99 Rams with Kurt Warner and the 01 Patriots. And they come in with Belichick, and how do they do that with Brady? He's the 6th rookie to make a title game. The previous 5 lost. But here he's also, a lot of those situations were the guy would manage the game and it was led by a strong defense. This is flipped. They're 30th against the run. They're not good defensively. And a big reason why is because of him and going for it, YOLO 4th down and getting it done and how good they are on offense. I mean, this is nuts what he's done. 69% completion percentage, 25 touchdowns, 9 picks, 4th in QBR, 11th in passer rating. And I forgot, Randy Moss got 4 MVP votes.
He should have.
In 90, you're damn right. In 98, he was on the scene, bam, in the first quarter of the first game he ever played.
I would tell you that Randy Moss, Cunningham was amazing. I would argue that Randy Moss deserved to be MVP that year.
He opened everything up.
Yep.
Yeah, the fear factor. So this is interesting about Barnwell would have it right now, 8th best season for a rookie ever if they lost Sunday.
Okay, if they lose, okay,
yeah,
right.
But if they win, then you keep going up there and climbing, and if they're able to do this and finish the job, it's got to be top 3, maybe best ever when it's all said and done, when you think about this.
I would say that if they win this game, that's going to be enough for me to say that it's the best rookie season of all time. Because, again, and this is why I've said this, he deserved MVP consideration. Last year, their offensive numbers were absolutely bottom of the barrel. They were horrendous, Paul. This year, like in every advanced metric, every number you look at, they are phenomenal. And there's a reason why, again, they excel like in 3rd and 4th down conversion rate because this guy is virtually impossible to stop. And everything is open for him. The scramble is never dead, and that's going to create guys getting open for him to find him, and he's an excellent and elite passer. He's super accurate. But I think that makes a lot of sense, though, if they even make it to the Super Bowl, to be right there with the Rams and those Patriots teams. The 0-1 team from New England and the 99 team from the Rams. Because the Rams, that year in...
Well, the guy was bagging groceries.
Didn't they have weren't they like 200 to 1 in preseason?
Yeah, because Trent Green got hurt. That's when Vermeil was crying. And you're like, who was this Kurt Warner guy who was like this third-string backup whatever?
Yep.
And he comes in for Arena Football League, and they couldn't be stopped.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, you're right, 200, 250 to 1, yeah.
That's why Chris Macero's going to come on the show tomorrow, and he'll explain why he was so high on this team. He has an awesome ticket, or multiple tickets on this team to win the NFC. Loved him.
Yeah.
I think I probably still have text messages from him, the two of us going back and forth on the Commanders probably in July and August.
Beautiful case. Well, the only guy making the case about, hey, watch out for this team. I could see them maybe kind of being like Houston, or they can win it as well. How about what you heard about Washington? Because they snapped the drought?
Driving in today, a promo was playing for a numbers game, Gil Alexander. So Washington is his lifelong team. Grew up there, rooting for that team. This snapped a 33-year streak for the Commanders, not making the NFC title game. I did not know this. Gil pointed it out. The Cowboys now have the longest streak in the NFC. The longest drought. Do you know how embarrassing that is?
And here comes Schottenheimer. What a debacle. Put your skills to the test. Pegasus Playoff Pick'em Challenge brought to by our friends at First Bet. Sign up for free to play. VSiN.com/Pegasus. Top picks get a First Bet voucher. And everyone who plays will get VSiN Super Bowl betting guide. VSiN.com/Pegasus to play. VSiN.com/Pegasus.
I caved. I told myself there was no reason to bet a team to win the college football title next year, but I did it anyway.
Time. There's nothing more valuable. It's what drives everyone to make the most of every moment. We celebrate living large in the now. In a city where time disappears, we create experiences that electrify the soul and memories that will last forever. We go big. We go all night. And here, everyone is invited. So get loose and get loud.
This is Circa. You'll have the time of your life.
So, Paulie, have you had a chance to read the VSiN Daily yet?
Yeah, came in at 3 a.m. What's Bill doing up that late?
Well, rumor has it starts off with a 12-hour meditation session.
Then he just pours himself over film and live TV, really focusing and taking it all in. Bill's in with the biggest insiders, talking trade secrets, strategies, the whole nine, absorbing the info.
And then and only then can the writing process begin.
In Las Vegas, Bill's late night becomes your early morning. Wake up to the very latest betting insights in your inbox with the VSiN Daily. Sign up for free at vsin.com/newsletter.
On the next A Numbers Game, it is a Friday. You know what that means. Football Friday. Steve Fezzik, the only back-to-back winner of the Hilton Super Contest, joins us for a couple segments to talk all things championship round, plus maybe a look ahead to the Super Bowl. Plus Chris Valika from Fox Sports as well. Football and beyond. Then Jason Weingarten from Under a Cloud of Smoke with all of his bets. And Paul Carr has been on a soccer heater. Premier League, Champions League, you name it. He's got your weekend soccer plays. It's A Numbers Game, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific, right here at VSiN.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
There is some news, a little bit of breaking news here in the NBA for a game on the board for tonight as the Heat are taking on the Bucks. Milwaukee earlier in the day, 7.5-point favorites, now down to 6.5 at home. Do you have any interest in taking Miami in a spot like this tonight?
No, they're in disarray.
The Heat are.
Don't want them.
You know what's weird about the NBA? Like, look at last night. The Clippers sat pretty much everybody.
Now, that would have been embarrassing, though. They did sit everybody. Jones played well, but come on. Celtics had to go to overtime.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a great game, though.
And they're huge favorites again. And the opposing team is sitting all their players for the most part. Mm-hmm. They're bumped up to like a 14-point favorite, could barely win the game. But here's the deal. The Bucks plane just left Milwaukee. New Orleans.
Yes.
Where they had record snow going back to Milwaukee. It was supposed to be a back-to-back. And they will arrive in Milwaukee a little after 5 o'clock local time tonight. The game is supposed to tip around 6:30 local time.
Yeah, sounds like the old hockey traveling teams in Minnesota and Wisconsin, where you just show up before the game would start back when we were kids. Okay, let's go out there. Let's raise some hell. All right, win the game, have a hot dog, and let's go home. That's it. I don't want. That shows you how bad the Heat are right now. I mean, Butler's taking a wrecking ball to them in Heat culture. So they're not playing well. And I would have to take Milwaukee here, which still, you know, we always talk about A game and that kind of thing too. Milwaukee is one team that punished Sacramento. And Sacramento, that was a great game last night, beating Golden State. I cannot believe what Doug Christie's doing. They're 10-2 with them. This is one of the losses in Milwaukee. They are awesome in clutch time now, and they are buying in defensively.
Well, they came roaring back last night to win that game.
Yeah, DeRozan was great, phenomenal job, but I still think Milwaukee can put it down here on Miami, who's just looking out there going through the motions.
Tough spot tonight for the Kings now, back-to-back
yes, it is.
On the road against Denver.
Yeah, and it's priced in, too.
Yeah. Okay, so have you bet anybody yet next year for the college football playoff to win the national title?
I have not, but I did reference Adam Burke giving out a couple long shots on VSiN.com on Texas Tech because they've done so well in the portal, and we saw a lot of surprises out of that league last year. And also I'm on board with Louisville, who, remember, Louisville had a good year, but they had 4 losses by one score and could have beat Miami and could have beat SMU and blew the Stanford game. So I think that's making a case there. I agree with what he said on Texas Tech and Louisville. I also love that we're starting to get more of the schedule here.
Yeah.
And Pat Forty just tweeted how hard the ACC's going on Labor Day weekend. Sunday night, Notre Dame at Miami. Monday night, TCU against the Hoodie in Chapel Hill. LSU at Clemson. Bama at Florida State. Virginia Tech, South Carolina, and Atlanta. That's also Sunday. Syracuse, Tennessee, and Atlanta on Saturday. What a schedule.
Yeah, that's strong. So here's a team that I bet. I was shopping around. I was looking at several different sites, being out the last couple of days, and I noticed that there was a common denominator with the teams like ranked in the top 15, right? And it was, a lot. Basically, the top 5 was the same everywhere. But I'm not going to bet a team like Georgia or Texas or Ohio State at their odds, at around 5, 6, 7 to 1. I want to look at a team that has a chance to making the playoff again. And so I looked at every single book that I have access to here in Las Vegas, and this number was floating around 70 or 80 to 1. Westgate had 100. I kept looking.
Okay.
And then I found 300 to 1 on a team that just made the playoff and easily could have won their game and advanced.
Really?
Arizona State.
Coming back with it.
So here's their non-conference, right? And again, every site I looked at had ASU ranked in the top 15, some of them as high as like number 11. Take that for what it's worth. The non-conference, they play Northern Arizona. There's a revenge game for Mississippi State. That's going to be on the road for ASU. And they play Texas State. Their conference home games are Arizona, Texas Tech, TCU, Houston, and West Virginia. Their conference road games are Baylor, Colorado, Iowa State, and Utah. Losing Scatabo is going to hurt. He had 1,700 plus yards on the ground, 21 touchdowns, also 600 plus yards receiving last year. And he was right there with Genty, 2 best backs in the entire country. Levitt, Tyson are both going to be back. So I had to take that number, right? 300 to 1. If they get in, okay, we can maybe do something with that ticket. And I love what Dillingham did in this season. They were picked to go, you pointed this out all the time throughout the year, they were picked to finish last in the Big 12. And they won it, and they had Texas on the ropes. Speaking of the Longhorns, they are 7 to 1 That number is out there. It's available. I'm not going to bet it now, but if that number exists in the summertime, I probably will bet that. Clear upgrade when they go to Arch.
Oh, okay.
Right?
All right. Let's see, though. All right.
And here are two other teams I'm considering, but man, oh man, the schedules.
Yeah.
I find South Carolina to be very intriguing. Sellers will be back at quarterback. He will be probably a dark horse Heisman candidate, but they're losing a ton on defense. Here's the problem I have. They're playing at Missouri, at LSU, at Ole Miss, at A&M, and they get OU, Bama, and Clemson at home. That is a killer schedule, and the best number I could find was 60, so I passed. Florida was another one under consideration. The way that they finished the season with Billy Napier, Legway, I think, can be really, really good. But at LSU, at Miami, Texas at home, at A&M, Georgia, at Ole Miss, Tennessee, FSU. Are you serious? And if, the SEC, maybe this will flip next year, but some of those teams on the outside looking in had 3 losses. I don't know. Can Florida or South Carolina go 10-2 or 11-1 with those schedules?
Let's also see if they tinker with the format, too, and what they'll do with those buys. Like in Boise, will a little guy, we have another Boise, Arizona State situation, or will they make that go away? That's something else to think about, too, if you're going to do this. I mean, that's huge. You can get the bye. One less game you have to play.
Sure. I also thought about this, and we had the conversation on the air after it happened, but we need some more criteria leading into these conference title games, assuming that they keep them across the board. And the SMU-Clemson game I can't get out of my head.
Did you see what the ACC's thinking about? I mentioned that while you were out. Did you see that?
I think I heard you. I was driving around, going to the doctor yesterday. I heard you talking about it. Yeah.
Second place will play third place.
What do you think about that idea?
I love it. Mike Palm's right. Will other conferences copy it? Then we're really talking.
At first blush,
right.
I like the creativity a lot.
I don't like the second option. 1 plays 4, 2 plays 3. And you're kind of knocking each other out.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I let your winners sit it out and declare them the champ, and then go to try to help out the team behind them.
So it's a floatable schedule, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. So think back to the SMU-Clemson game.
Yeah.
When Clemson, they had the huge lead, and the thought was if SMU gets blown out, they're not gonna, somehow, some way that team will not go to the playoff, although they were undefeated in conference play. And as the head coach said, if we just had every player with COVID and we didn't play this week, we'd get the audit, we'd be in the tournament no matter what. But a loss might affect us. It doesn't make any sense. But because SMU came roaring back to tie it up, and then Clemson beat them at the buzzer, the committee actually said, well, that fight that they showed, that comeback to get it close and to tie it up, that was enough to put them in. And I said the next day on the air, but if they got blown out, they weren't going to be in? So flip it for 1 second. And you can use Team A versus Team B in any conference. Think about that scenario. What if SMU had led the entire way by 17 points or more against Clemson? Then Clemson came roaring back to tie it up, and then they forced overtime, and then they won the game. Is the committee going to say, can't take SMU, they blew a huge lead? Like, that's the stuff they got to clean up a little bit next year.
No, there needs to be criteria. I know.
Of course.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yep. And how are they going to manage conference title games? And then the problem you're always going to run into is the tiebreaker scenario. Or like who determines who goes to your conference title games? If you got there could have been an 8-way tie in the Big 12 when it was all said and done.
Right.
And then you had the Indiana fiasco, who somehow they went 11-1 and didn't play anybody. So It's just going to be bizarre when you got 16, 18 teams in a league that funky stuff can happen.
Mm-hmm. Overall, though, this year, I love the expansion to 12 teams. I know we had a lot of blowouts, but the more teams, the better. I know people are going to come back and argue that in the old system, Ohio State never would have been in the playoff with that loss to Michigan. I get it. I understand that.
Or Notre Dame.
Yeah, right.
They would not have been in. They got it right. Yeah, 7 played 8 in a title game. It was great.
Like 4 teams is not enough. It's not enough for a playoff.
No way.
So
it lived up to the hype. It did. Yeah. It's here to stay. They did a great job. I wouldn't expand. I would just tinker with the format.
I do think the people in charge, they've been bozos for the last 40 years, and I don't trust them for a second, but I do think that they will get it better. I do think they're going to tinker and get it better.
In sports betting and trading, understanding probability is the ultimate game changer. Unlock the secrets of high-probability trading with Todd Bubba Horowitz, former floor trader and seasoned sports bettor. With over 45 years of experience, visit BubbaTrading.com/VSiN. Use promo code VSiN500 to save $500. Don't miss your chance to sharpen your strategy and gain the edge in your trading game. BubbaTrading.com/VSiN. Promo code VSiN500 500. Spurs hammer the Pacers in Paris 140 to 110. Wembanyama finished with 30, 11, 6, and 5. Took them out in a blowout. Put it on him. Maybe do the same thing on Saturday. He wants to put on a show for everyone over there. Good angle.
Is he picking up any steam to win most improved player?
Yeah, look, it was kind of falling back, but I did see him as low as like 8, 9 to 1, but he has $6 to win Defensive Player of the Year. And SGA's up to 5 now.
Yeah, well,
for
after
MVP
last night.
after going for 50.
Yeah, up next, player props for this weekend with Paul Charchian. He's going back to the well on a losing ticket from last week, and I'm right there with him. I think it makes sense to go back to it one more time.
Sports betting game with VSiN's exclusive betting splits. Stay ahead with real-time market trends and track bet percentages on any matchup. Then uncover the edge by comparing them to the amount of bets placed to find out where the sharp money is headed. Upgrade to VSiN Pro to access betting splits, live odds, line moves, power ratings, and in-depth game analysis. Go to vsin.com/pro to join VSiN, the sports betting network.
This is VSiN, the sports betting network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Time to hit some player props for Championship Sunday here. 2 more games to go before the big one, and Fantasy Football Hall of Famer Paul Charchian joins the program as he does every Thursday at this time, and he is on the Progressive guest line. Good afternoon, buddy. How are you?
Great to talk to you. This is our second to last one of these. I feel I'm already missing you guys, and I'm talking to you right now.
I know. That's no good.
Terrible.
We need to hit the fast forward button already, please.
I know.
Let's begin with the early game. How about this back-to-back stretch here now for Dallas Goedert in the passing game? One, the Rams defense against tight ends the entire year, or most of it anyway, no good. And now he's going against a Commanders team that should provide, I think, ample opportunities here for him to flourish?
Yeah, I think so. And we'll note that Goddard's got an ankle injury. Yep. Did not practice Wednesday, did on Thursday today. So you'll need to make your own call about your risk factor on somebody who comes in with an ankle injury. On paper, Washington looks like a very good tight end defense. And initially, as I was doing the breakdown on this, I was really wary of Goddard. But then I started realizing this is a team that's played an insanely soft schedule against the position. And I think because they didn't play very many good tight ends, and the stats have really pushed this line down. It's Goddard over 38.5. I also like the anytime touchdown of plus 300. So let's look at the rare instances when Washington faced a decent tight end. Just a decent one. And I consider Dallas Goedert to be like a tier 2 tight end.
Okay.
He's not George Kittle. He's not Trey McBride. He's not Brock Bowers, right? Tier 2 guys. Washington only played 4 guys all year at Goddard's level or higher. Last week, Sam Laporta, 51 yards and a touchdown. Week 10, Pat Freiermuth, 17 yards and a touchdown. Week 6, Mark Andrews, 66 yards and a score. And then week 11, Dallas Goedert himself. And he didn't play in the second matchup. He was hurt for that. He played in the week 11 matchup, 61 yards for Dallas Goedert. I just think there's some fraud to the tight end stats that Washington's got. Goddard's such a big part of this offense. He's as reliable as anybody. A.J. Brown's not catching much of anything right now. Devonta Smith isn't doing a lot. Dallas Goedert's a huge part of this offense, and Washington hasn't faced many good tight ends. I still like him here over the 38.5. The anytime touchdowns plus 300. They don't throw to him in the end zone. He's going to have to catch it from outside of the end zone and go in, so a little bit of caution there, but still like Dallas Goedert here.
It's too easy. Get him involved early. It's there all game. And get Hurts' confidence up as well. It's stealing. It's easy throw there.
Feels that way, doesn't it? And this is what we said last week, and we hit Goddard 2 different ways last week. Went 500 on the full week's props, but we hit Goddard 2 different ways. We could hit it 2 ways here, too.
All right, how about Barkley? Now, the rushing prop's insanity. It's at the highest ever. Boy, you won't even do with receiving.
Okay, well, you tell me. I mean, which way are people going on the rushing prop? Have your other guess? What are people doing right now? What's the betting public doing with the highest line that's ever been set for a rushing prop?
Well, the public bets everything over,
sure.
So it's, yeah.
I noticed this. I think it opened 125.5 immediately, and it shot up to 130.5, so that'll tell you.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez, God.
Yeah,
that's
I know.
Nuts.
130.5.
Crazy. It really is.
I'll only say that, and I kept away from it almost on principle. Well, I'll mention this. When he goes over that line, his average game is of 180 yards when he goes over the last 10 games, I believe. So he can obliterate that over, which is insane. To think about laddering up from there.
Oh, God.
I know, right?
Hey, I'm getting. I have plus 125 for him to have a 200-yard day.
Wow.
I'm joking, but I mean
that's absurd. Yeah, it's absurd. We're going to attack this receiving, which I think is a better angle, and we're actually going to go under here. Now, let me mention the under is minus 180. So there's a little bit of juice you need to take into effect here. Barkley rarely hits the over 2.5 receptions that we're looking at here. Since week 3, he's been under 2.5 receptions in 12 of 15 games. And that includes Washington. Week 11, he had 2 catches. And then in the week 16 game, Barkley had 0 catches against Washington. Although we'll put an asterisk on that because I think part of it was that Kenny Pickett was in that game, but still, Kenny Pickett managed to throw to and targeted A.J. Brown like 15 times in that game. Anyway, the headline here that I want you to walk away with is this. The Commanders' defense against running backs, awesome through the air. They rank number 1 in receptions allowed to runners, just 48 receptions to runners all year. And to give you a sense of how good 48 receptions to runners is on a full season, Atlanta allow double that, 96. They also rank number 1 in receiving yards to running backs, but I'm not going to hit. And his number, and this is only, I think, 12 and a half receiving yards, but I worry that he could go over that just like on one catch because he's so good, like break a tackle, and now you're over 12 and a half. But I do like the under 2.5 receptions, even at minus 180.
All right. AFC title game. We said this the first couple days on the show. I can't believe what transpired Saturday. Number 1, no Hopkins, no Worthy, and it all goes to Kelsey. And like Aikman said, how is he open? How is he wide open? And he's running in slow motion.
Yeah, he's running in concrete, and yet somehow he's always open. Houston, what are you doing right now? And how you want to know how big a factor that he was? Xavier Worthy caught a few passes. No other wideout caught a pass.
Yes.
In that game.
Insanity.
Are you kidding me?
Yes.
Why'd you even trade for DeAndre Hopkins and Juju Smith-Schuster? I mean, total non-factors in this offense. It's ridiculous. And we'll talk about Worthy in just a minute. Well, in fact, maybe we go there right now. You want to talk Worthy at this minute?
Mm-hmm.
I'm under 50.5 receiving yards. When you think of Xavier Worthy and the 4.2 speed, you think there's going to be all these deep plays, downfield touchdowns to somebody who can run that fast. But get this. Since week 11, Xavier Worthy has 39 receptions. You know how many of those 39 receptions were for more than 9 yards? 3. 3 catches of over 9 yards since week 11 for Xavier Worthy. He's all bubble screens.
Yeah.
It's all short stuff. And every now and again, he turns one of those into a long gain, but usually he does not. His average distance of throw in weeks, average distance of target for Xavier Worthy in weeks 1 through 11 was 14 yards. Since week 13, it's 4 yards. 4. That's it. He's got to turn 4-yard catches into 58.5 receiving yards. And so I like the under 50.5 receiving yards here. It's too much short stuff. I don't, maybe he breaks one, but I think that's asking a lot. And I think you've got an angle here on Xavier Worthy under 50.5 receiving yards.
Very good. Follow the money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Our guest, Fantasy Football Hall of Famer Paul Charchian. He is on the Progressive Guest Line. You bet this last week, as did I. It was no good. But you want to bet it again this week, and I'm right there with you again. Got to go back to the well because the matchup, I think, is telling us that you have to bet it, right, with Pirine?
Yeah, it's Samaje Pirine over 8.5 receiving yards.
Yeah.
The line was 9.5 receiving yards last week. We missed that. But I think the process was right. So says me, because I was the one who had the process, so I like my process. Even better opportunity this week. Get this. For Samaje Pirine against the Bills. The Bills allow the most running back receptions, the most running back receiving yards, and by the way, the second most running back receiving touchdowns, if you want to get really creative on Pirine. You may remember, last week we talked about how Pirine is the designated passing down receiver for the Chiefs, particularly in long down and distance situations. Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco all year have combined for 10 snaps in long down and distance. That's it, the whole season. Samaje Pirine, 171 snaps in long down and distance. All it takes, even if Pirine is the second or third look in any given play, just if the play breaks down and there's Pirine, bang, you just hit your over on 8.5 yards. His average reception, by the way, 11.5 yards. So we just need the one reception from Pirine. If you're feeling really frisky, and I know you are, Mitch, consider his anytime touchdown plus 950, but that's not an official recommendation on this show.
All right. Then who goes off for Buffalo?
Khalil Shakir. His line is absurdly short at 4.5 receptions. We're going to take the over on that. If you take out Khalil Shakir's meetings against the Jets, because they've got the best slot corner in the league, Michael Carter. So I'm taking the Jets out for a minute. Khalil Shakir has hit the over on 4.5 receptions in 11 of the last 14 games since week 1. He has been targeted in the previous matchup with Kansas City, targeted 12 times, 12 against this same team. And here's the best part. He runs from the slot most of the time, about 80% slot rate. He's going to face off against cornerback Chamari Connor. Get this. He allows an 85% catch rate in his coverage. And if you're not clear on how bad 85% catch rate is, it's the worst completion percentage in the NFL for any cornerback. That's the matchup that we're looking at with Khalil Shakir against Chamari Connor. By himself, he has allowed 4 or more receptions in 5 of the past 7 games. And he's just one cornerback, and Khalil Shakir beyond other guys, too. So I love this matchup, and I love the over for Khalil Shakir, 4.5 receptions.
I smell ladder bets coming for Shakir this week. Very
would
quickly
too.
here. Who do you like in the game, by the way?
Bills, Eagles.
Bills, Eagles. Okay, I would take that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. I said on Monday I'm walking the dog if we get Chiefs, Eagles.
Ooh, really?
Yeah,
I love it.
For 3.5 hours. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, my friend.
Enjoy the
Talk
games.
to you next week.
Yeah,
Bye.
there you go. Paul Charchian on the Progressive Guest Line. Up next, Paul's going to recap last night's betting action and win some, lose some. Big card tonight in the NHL. He'll hit the streakiest teams playing tonight on ice as well.
Got a good thing coming. Just wait and see. It's a good.
You spoke, we listened. Introducing the all-new VSiN Watch app. Now, you can watch and listen to VSiN expert analysis live wherever you are. Missed a show? No problem. Catch replays of VSiN's full lineup at any time. View highlights sorted by sport. Or use the search feature to find specific teams and topics you're looking for. And the best part? It's free for a limited time. Download the VSiN Watch app today. Available now on the App Store and Google Play. And join us on the Sports Betting Network. last night?
Wow, winning.
Or was it a rough one?
Well, they can't all be winners, can they?
Loser! You're a loser! Paulie Howard recaps the night in sports betting in Win Some, Lose Some.
Good night in sports. Kansas with another under. What new? 16-2 on the season. VMI plus 370 on the money line. USC plus 240. NBA Kings Warriors over 227 up to 232.5. 123, 117 sack. Jazz Thunder over 220 up to 233.5. 123, 114. Hawks Pistons under 236.5 down to 232.5. 114 to 104. Apologies there. Hawks were never in that one. Pistons a great story. Memphis over 236.5 to 242.5. 132 to 120. And the Rockets, Garland, 90% from the line, missed 2. Rockets plus 3 down to pick. Beat Cleveland 109-108. Subscribe, be part of the team, VSiN.com. Our radio and podcast friends, you always want to see these tweets and videos. At Paulie Does Vegas on Instagram. Send them in, we'll put you on. Mitch, it's a sign. It's calling my name. All last week I talked about bullies and had bullies for videos, right? So I had to take the car in, right? And I'm waiting for the car and they're, putting on a new tire. And I look at this guy coming down. This guy greets me, got the little jacket on. It's a bully. Cutest face, right? Walks right up to me, comes around, gives me a little hug, and then holds on for dear life, like he's Greg the Hammer Valentine on my leg. And he starts going to town on it.
Like Jeff Van Gundy?
Oh, he is humping my leg hard. This guy is making
just right
noise.
out of the gate.
Yeah. Well, I was talking to him there, rubbing his head, whatever, coming over. And then he comes back over, and he just, for like 5 minutes straight, I couldn't move. He's got me on like a vice grip. He's wrapped around my leg, and he's just going hard on me.
What was this, the Revenant?
Yeah, like the bear. Sure,
Jeez.
Unbelievable. But look at the face on this guy, right? Incredible. And I said, where'd you get it? He's got it from California. He brings it to the shop every day.
Well, if you're ever going to have a sign about getting a dog,
I know.
At first meeting, he humps your leg for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You got to go get one.
I know. That was incredible. He just comes out from the back. He's got the shirt on, little sweater. Hey, how you doing, buddy?
What does Cousin Eddie say in Christmas Vacation? Once he grabs your leg, just let him go.
That's what he was doing. I'm like, I couldn't walk. How about this? This is another good one. All right, let's go. Yeah, little bully. Time for the workout. Dog brings the dumbbell up, walks it right up to the owner in its mouth. Let's get a little workout in. Come on. Yeah, it's calling your name.
Yeah,
it's a new year. Let's get in shape. He's wagging the tail in the back. Come on, shut the TV off. Let's get a little lift in. Come on. What's wrong with you? Smart guy. Incredible. Lose some Celtics from 6 up to 12. I thought they were going to cover. Oh, goes to overtime, and they were up 7 right away. They win by 5. A game Clippers team that sat everybody. T-Wolves from 1 up to 4. And the under, 218.5 down to 212.5. They won 115 to 114. It's going to be, I'm going to say it's a top 10 video all time in 7 years doing this. This is pretty good. It's a lose some. The cat's a rat. See, the dog, there's food on the table, right? The dog's looking at the table. He knows where the camera is. Yeah, I see it, right? I'm hungry. Look at this. He jumps up and moves the camera so he can go on the table and not be seen and eat, right? But then here comes that cat. The cat jumps down from the far right. And he jumps up on the computer table, and he moves the camera back to its original position, and we got our suspect.
It's like they're almost trained to do it. It's so good.
I know. And then the dog's sitting there, up there with his face in the food, and they got him red-handed.
That cat is the true definition of like a teacher's pet.
Yep.
Right?
How does the dog know to move the camera so he can eat?
Come on.
The cat moves
there's got to be something here.
Oh, my God.
They had to train these animals to do this. They had to.
Oh, it's
That's
incredible.
too good.
Yeah. You look like, who's that in the right? Oh, here comes the cat. And he's moving the camera back to its original position. Colleen Andre, put it up. Paulie Does Vegas on Instagram. Incredible video. Top notch. Some bad beats as always. Xavier plus 7.5. Covering the whole way. Lost by 8 in overtime against St. John's.
Up by 16 in the second half? Up big double digits? Yeah.
Old Miss money line or Old Miss lane 3. Up 8 with 3 minutes. 2 points the rest of the way. Lost the game. And Air Force 8-1 on the money line. Overtime against San Diego State. Aztecs score at the buzzer to win. Oh, brutal. Those are vicious. Getting ready for big game 59 with a big deal to match. Save $59 off the VSiN Pro annual subscription when you sign up using promo code FTM. Become a VSiN Pro annual subscriber and bet smarter all year long. Every best bet, every host, every guest, the betting splits from DK and Circa, the great dog videos and the betting guides. Everything up there you'll want. Jonathan Davis on hockey, Nigel on soccer, Mackinac betting systems, Cohen NBA, Burke. VSiN.com/subscribe, promo code FTM. Save $59 off and get the prop analyzer as well. Let's do that hockey. Senators and Bruins look good. Boston, 10-1 run, goal in the first 10. They take on Ottawa. It's also a back-to-back, so it should be Korpisalo, who's an absolute sieve. Flyers and Rangers. Flyers let us down in the last one, but the Rangers on a 20-4 run, goal in the first 10. 17-4 run, goal in the first 10 at home. Flyers coming off the one loser, 20-4 on the road, but 11-1 run overall. Boston 11-1. Likewise, Flyers 11-1. Montreal and Detroit. Detroit at home. Detroit on a 16-2 run, goal in the first 10. Both of these are $1.45. The Flyers and the Red Wings. I'm with Jonathan Davis on both. Capitals and Kraken. Kraken at home. 11-1 run, goal in the first 10. And Predators and Sharks. Sharks at home. 13-3 run. Yes. Should be fireworks in that one with a total of 6 against Nashville. That's your late game tonight on ice. Chicago 15-2. Buffalo 15-3. Pittsburgh 13-2. San Jose 13-3 all at home. Edmonton 18-3 on the road. Toronto 10-2 on the road. Overall, Detroit 16-2, Toronto 17-4 run. Are they off tonight? They are. Seattle 11-1, Chicago 12-1, Philly and Boston 11-1, all overall. Goal in the first 10. Let's do it.
All right, very good. I'm looking right now at the standings in the NBA in the Eastern Conference. So, Cavaliers are the 1, Boston the 2. Obviously, they're 5.5 games back. The Knicks are 2.5 back of the Celtics now in that division. Remember the odds in that division now? How it was absolutely crazy in like the last 3 weeks how that went. The Bucks are the 4 seed. The Pacers are the 5. Do you know who the 6 seed is right now?
Probably the Pistons. Pistons?
They are the 6 seed.
What a story.
So
they got me good yesterday. What a story.
They would get the Knicks right now in the first round. They're would not even be in the play-in.
Yeah.
I just bet them at 270-1 to win the Eastern Conference. Why not? They get the Knicks in round 1.
They can score.
They might be able to give them a series.
They're up 20 at the half in Atlanta yesterday.
They'll need some help, obviously.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be a huge dog to those other teams in front of them, like the Cavaliers or the Celtics. But
it happens every year with the injuries. They could also catch a break there, too.
They're 270-1 to win the Eastern Conference right now.
Did you see where Philly is? The 11, and they're 3 games behind the Bulls. Oh, Philly's lost 7 in a row. ESPN.com today at the midseason point ranked and gave everyone grades. The only team that got an F, the Sixers, projected to win 34 games. The Suns and Pelicans got a D-. Cavs, Detroit, Houston got an A. Detroit, what was their win total? 25? They're going to win 50 games.
Yeah.
Houston was 43. The Cavs were 48. They could win 64. Clippers also got an A. Their win total was mid-30s. Memphis, OKC, Denver, and Arizona got some A-minuses. What a job. A lot of good stuff going on.
Would Jimmy Butler to the Suns do anything for you?
It would for Jeff Sherman. He's adjusted and moved it.
Yeah.
You think that could make a difference?
Yeah, he moved it, I think, from 25-1 for the Suns to 16-1. It does nothing for me. I mean, that team...
Can they defend?
How do you think a 7-game series would go against OKC?
Yeah, well, yeah, OKC, they're incredible. Suns are 24th in defense.
Yeah.
So
I honestly don't know how many other teams like above them in the West. The Jimmy Butler thing. How many teams is this now? 6? 5, 6? This is the same thing that's happened?
Yeah. We said it when it happened. If you're always unhappy, it's you.
God.
And they wouldn't give him the extension, so he's doing everything he can to get out of there.
Yeah, I'm not... By the way, the book I just betted at moved the Pistons down to 95-1. You can still find 200-1 to win the East if you want. I think 200-1 is a really good number. Westgate and I think Circa have the Pistons at 100-1. I'm talking just to win the East again. Forget the NBA Finals. Just to win the East.
Mm.
That's juicy. Cunningham is... I don't know if he could ever win it like next year, but he will be like in the MVP mix at some point in his career. Because every single night that dude delivers. His stat line is outrageous, man. And he's, I don't want to say that he's been like carrying the team because I don't watch every single Pistons game. I do look at a lot of the numbers, but the season that he is putting together, and by the way, this has been without Ivy too.
Yep.
Who is playing good basketball. So they're fun. Up next, we will get best bets in soccer from Steve Wiss. Huge match between City and Chelsea on deck. Find out how he's betting it coming up on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
And we're out.
Okay, give me 1 sec. I need to load funds into my gaming apps.
Stormy, really, with